These days, I've been becoming bad in saying jokes. You know, my jokes have been falling flat. I tried that yesterday. No one laughed. I had to say, it was a joke, y'all. Come on, laugh. So I didn't say it at 8:30 Mass. So I have the liberty to do it now because it's the last Mass, right? And you don't mind me keeping it too long. Is it okay? All right, okay. I'm gonna try again. And just that I don't just crack jokes for the sake of jokes. My jokes oftentimes, if not all the times, oftentimes has connection to what I am going to say. So if you can't laugh, that's okay. That's fine. Let me try it again anyway. This one more time. Jay returned to work a week after his grandmother's death. And he was called in by his boss, and his boss expressed his condolences, and he said, Jay, I'm sorry for the loss of your loved your grandmother. And he asked him, how was the funeral? And Jay said, sir, the funeral was awesome. We had the biggest crowd ever. It was a good funeral. And the boss said, great, I'm happy for you, and you had a good funeral for your grandmother. And he said, you know what, until 2 days back, I was skeptical about life after death. I used to not believe in resurrection. But just 2 days back, I come to believe that there is life after death and there is resurrection. Jay said, "No, I'm happy that you finally have become a believer in the resurrection." And he said, "What really caused this transformation?" And he said, 2 days back, your grandmother came to my office looking for you. And he handed him an envelope and told him, and he said, what is this? You are fired for cheating. Okay, all right. He lied, okay? Now, this is what happens when someone is found to be cheating or found to be doing bad job. Oftentimes, what the person is either fired or at the very least given a warning. Never a boss, an employer would appreciate and commend for someone cheating him. If you paid attention to the gospel just talked. Jesus is saying a story, and there we hear the master commending, appreciating the servant who was cheating him. Now, this gospel, the story that Jesus is telling, is to tell us about life. What is life, and how we should live our life here on earth, and how we should use the goods of the earth. In other words, how we should use the material things. And as you're paying attention to the gospel, you're saying to yourself, now, what is this Jesus saying? Jesus, you can't say that. How come someone be appreciated for the bad thing that they're doing? So does Jesus seem to suggest that cheating is okay? Does he seem to say, no, you're going to be appreciated for the lies you say? Is that what he's trying to tell us today? Absolutely, the answer is not. Now, as I told you, this story is about how we need to live our life here on earth. So keep at the back of your mind, and let's get into the parable and see what Jesus really has for us today. So we know the story. There's the rich man, and he calls his steward, a manager, an agent who is found to be squandering his property, and he says, "Now you're doing a bad job. You are fired. Settle your account." Now this manager, a steward, says to himself, "Now this is my job. This is my profession, and I'm fired. I don't know what am I going to do." And he says to himself, I can't work hard, and I can't do hard labor because I don't know to do it. And he says, I'm ashamed to beg. I just can't beg. And just a little footnote on begging. Begging is at many times harder than working. So next time when you run into a person at the signal or the stop sign asking for help, if anything, church, let's be not judgmental. Let's not pass judgment and saying, "Oh, you look good. Why can't you look for a job?" You don't know. You don't know why he is there. And if you ask me, I would not do it. And it's hard. It's a shame thing to do. And the fact that he's there, she is there, simply tells about his or her situation. So if anything, church, let's be a little sympathetic. Let's show some love for them, and at least we can refrain or restrain ourselves from passing judgment. There was just a footnote. Let's move on to the story. So he says, I can't work hard. I can't do any hard labor. I'm ashamed to beg. And he says, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And saying to himself, I'm going to use my seventh sense, prudence. And he says, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call in my master's tenants. And I'm going to just do a deal there. So he calls one and says the first one, tenant, how much do you owe my master? He says 100 measures of olive oil. And he says, okay, here you go. Here is your promissory note, and take it and write one for 50. He calls the next one and says, how much do you owe my master? He says, I owe 100 sacks or cores of wheat. He says, okay, come quick and sit, and here is your promissory note, and write one for 80. The story is moving so well so far. It's good so far. But you are surprised. You are surprised at the response of the master. And when the master comes to know that he has literally cheated, the master commends. The master praises this dishonest steward for acting prudently. Really? Now he was, if anything, you should have been angry at him, and you should have fired him right away. And you and me wish we have a boss like him, right? A boss who praises you for your wrongdoings. Now that's the sense we are getting from the gospel today, but that's not true. We have to understand, the master is not praising or commending the steward for cheating. And to understand the parable, again, we have to go to the society in which Jesus lived and understand the social economic situation of Jesus' time. Then we will learn and we will appreciate the message that Jesus has for us. So let's go back to Jesus' time. In Jesus' time, it was common that the rich person would often entrust his or her property to a steward, a manager, an agent, and he would act on behalf of the rich man and run the entire show and lease the property to a tenant, and he would get the produce from the tenant, the profits, and give the profits or the produce to the master. So the master and the tenants would have nothing in common. They would have no reaction. It's the agent, the steward, who would act as the middle person. And so whatever he gives to the master was the final. So it's also true that oftentimes the agent, the steward or the manager would cheat on the tenants. They would extract more or charge more than they owe to the master. Let's say if a tenant owes 50 measures of olive oil, he would charge him 100. And he only will give 50 to the master. The other 50 goes to who? Goes to him. Goes to him. Now, the key word to understand this parable is dishonest. So this steward, this manager has been dishonest to both, to the master and to the tenants. Perhaps this was the complaint against him, that he is squandering or misusing or abusing the property of the master because he collects more and he gives him less. And he collects more than what they were supposed to give, and he benefits out of it. And so what was he doing? He was cheating. He was cheating both the master and the tenants. Now when he is caught cheating, when he's caught being dishonest, he comes to his seventh sense. He has his wisdom and he uses his prudence, and he says, I know what I'm going to do. I've been cheating all my life. I've been dishonest all my life. Now I'm going to correct myself. Now I'm going to do the right thing. Now I'm going to be responsible and faithful to my master and to my tenants. And so he goes to the tenant. The debtor says, okay, come here. Now, how much you really owe? He says 100. No, you don't really owe 100. You only owe 50. So the other 50, he's not cheating. The other 50 would have taken to himself. Now he's only charging what they deserve, and what he collects, he gives the entire portion to the master. And this, church, is the reason why the master commends. Now, for the first time, this steward is acting faithfully. Acting faithfully. He's not cheating him, nor he is cheating the tenants. And that is why he's appreciated, and that is the message for us today. Be honest. Be faithful with what's been entrusted to you, with what's been given to you. Now, what is given to me? What is entrusted to me? Everything. Everything. St. Paul says, what have you that you have not received? What have you that you have not received? So all that I have is indeed a gift to me. It's been given to me. It doesn't belong to me. It's not mine. I'm just a steward, a manager, a caretaker of what's been given to me. And so the call for me is to be responsible. So this parable teaches us two important lessons that we can take for life. First, never should we exploit the other. Never should we exploit the weakness of the other for my own personal achievements. It's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong about being successful. Nothing wrong about growing up in the society and being powerful, have this authority, name and fame. Nothing wrong about it. But when it comes at the cost of someone's downfall, when you want to be grateful, when you want to look great by humiliating somebody, when you want to be successful by defeating someone, by costing someone, it's a problem. And we are acting dishonestly. Never should I especially exploit the weakness of the other for my personal gain and growth. And second, everything that we have is been given to us, and we are called to be faithful. What it means to be faithful, it's simply using the gifts and the talents and the wealth and all that I have is for the glory of God and for the good of the other. And so the choice is before us. The ball is in my court. What am I going to do with my life? Am I going to just use it for myself? And my own personal glory, name and fame, and it's all about me. And if I do that, church, I would have simply wasted my life. And I would have simply acted as dishonest servant. And that's why today Jesus reminds us that we cannot serve both God and mammon. What is this mammon? The material things, the material wealth, all that is, he calls that dishonest wealth. Now, it doesn't mean that you gain them, you earn them by bad means. No, dishonest really means the things that doesn't first belong to you really. Second, that is passing. This material things all are passing. So use all that you have for the glory of God, for the good of other, by which you can earn a place in the Father's home. And so, a challenge before me today. What am I going to do? Who am I going to serve? And it's obvious, I cannot serve. There is no middle path here, church. There is no compromise here. Either I am with God or with the wall. If I am with God, if I choose to serve God, then I will use all I have for the glory of Him alone, and for the good of the other. If I choose to serve the material things, I will choose to ignore God and go after the material things. So the choice is before us. Who do we want to serve? God or mammon? And Jesus today invites you and me to serve God, and reminds us that this life is not about ourselves. So all that we have and all that we are is given to us by Him. Let's use it for His glory and His glory only. Let the church say amen.